Covering the Universal Orlando Resort for over 4 years, you are listening to the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hi, my name's Lonnie. I'm the Assistant Director to the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the founder, the writer, the producer, the director, the choreographer, Mr. Frank Kincaid. He makes me do that. I'm so glad that you're all here. Some of you may be here because of the personal request of Mr. Kincaid. Others of you might be here because of the Facebook ad I placed. Whichever. Welcome to Disaster Studios. We specialise in blockbuster cinematic carnage. Duh.
Duh.
Take two. Duh. Okay. Yes, and I am so glad you all showed up because basically I need your help. We're in the middle of our biggest production ever when, bam, all of my actors are in the theme park blogger rehab with Derek Bergen. So, to make a long story short, I need to get some of you as actors for some key insert shots that we need to finish the film. If we don't get this in the can today, then I'm going to be canned tomorrow. So let's get started. I need an energetic kid. You there, with a Say Anything shirt on. What's your name?
Hunter.
And how old are you, Hunter?
26.
Okay. Right, I need an evil villain. You there in the Back to the Future t-shirt. Come up here. What's your name, man?
Darren.
Okay, evil Darren, I need your best evil villain laugh. Darren! I said evil, not creepy. Anyway, alrighty, I need a hot, hunky man type. Over 18. Hang on, there's this guy over here who's been staring at me this whole time. Can you come up here? Hi. So, what's your number? Name. What's your name?
Lee.
Lee, can you do me a favour and walk very slowly to the end of the line, please?
No problem.
Hey, I'm just looking. Big round of applause for my actors. Everybody go ahead and raise your right hand. In case we need to do any additional casting or recasting or anything, repeat after me. I agree.
I agree.
Yes, you did. To the liability waiver. Woo! Okay, and now for some on-site protocol. When I say, and we are, I need you to say, moving on. And we are?
Moving on.
And we are?
Moving
on.
To the private screening room of Mr. Frank Kincaid. Which, if we're lucky, he will share some of his secrets from his black book. Now, I'm dying to get my hands on that black book, so if you guys see it, you'll let me know, all right? Actors, you're going to follow me through door number 1. And we are...
Moving on.
Let's go make a disaster, people. Actors, follow me. Mr. K, hello. I got your actors. Mikey, this is a mess up here. I thought we were going to clean up around here as we have guests. Ladies and gentlemen, Mikey is our second unit director. He's in charge of all the pyrotechnics and stuff. Everybody, turn around and say, hello, Mikey.
Hey, Mikey.
Mikey, if you could give me a signal when Mr. K shows up, that would be great.
Mikey, what was that? I've seen bigger fireballs out of cat pistols. I'm trying to make an entrance here. Don't embarrass me.
Sorry, Mr. Kincaid.
Folks, thank you for coming. What are you doing? Why are you on the floor? I thought I told you never to crawl, Ronnie.
It's Lonnie, sir, and I think you burned my boat.
Walk it off. We've got guests.
Yes, sir. Everybody, this is my boss.
That's enough, Donnie. I'm Frank Kincaid. Welcome to Disaster Studios. We're doing something very, very special here today. We're making a movie, but not just any movie. When you stepped through those soundproof glass doors, you said yes to being part of something. That something is a Frank Kincaid disaster. You're welcome. People come up to me every day. They say, Frank, why do you only make disasters? Why did Picasso cut off his ear? I don't know. But I can tell you this. Life is conflict. Entertainment is when conflict happens through other people.
Excuse me, sir. You've said remind me never to do the truck thing.
Put that out for me, will you, Ronnie?
It's Lonnie, sir.
Don't care. Stuff's burning. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Mikey, cue me up a Would you give me reel 14?
There is no real 14, sir.
You know what I mean. Just run it.
Yes, sir.
Since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with disaster movies, epic stories of human endurance, ingenuity in the face of impossible, insurmountable odds, blockbuster sagas of men pushed to the very limits of tolerance and beyond. All-star, adrenaline-soaked special effects, extravaganzas that tackle the really big themes. Man versus nature, man versus technology, man versus brain-eating zombies, man versus really bad architects. These films allow us to confront our greatest fears like rabid baboons and killer asteroids and come out the other side to taste the thrill of being alive. The great philosopher Aristotle Onassis had a word for it: catharsis. If he could only see the things we could blow up today, I think he'd be proud. 1 second.
Sir, I was going to. I'll go start the other reel.
It's all right here in Frank Kincaid's Black Book. All the secrets, all the tricks of the trade. Rule number 22. Only one person knows how to avert the disaster, but no one ever believes him. Rule number 14. The annoying guy always dies.
Ooh, that's Hunter today.
Rule 101. Explosions are good. Slow motion explosions are better. Rule number 32. Never kill a house pet.
I would never.
A formula.
Okay.
You asked?
Yeah.
No, not a formula, a recipe. And the recipe is only as good as its chef. It was by following these essential rules of the genre that I was able to build Disaster Studios into the gargantuan powerhouse that it is today, enabling us to undertake our most massive and daring project yet. It's an epic, end-of-the-world adventure about global warming triggering cataclysmic earth, wind, fire, floods, mutant plagues, man-eating plants, though at heart, it's really a love story. I call it Mother Nature.
Dun, dun.
You smell that, folks? That's the smell of summer blockbuster. How much do I believe in this movie so much I've begged, borrowed, stolen, mortgaged, and sunk every last red cent into this production? My house in Aspen, the condo in St. Croix, my private jet even, the ergonomic massage recliners that used to fill this screening room. It's all gonna be up there on the screen. We're close, so very close to having this one in the can. But we're not finished yet. That's why, folks, I need your help. You're going to be my background actors for a number of key insert shots. I have every confidence you'll equate yourself as well, even better than the coddled, outrageously stupid, overpaid Hollywood limo monkeys we normally bother to employ. For as rule number 87 states, actors are not good for nothing, they're best for nothing.
Whoa, what was that?
That would be the generator.
Want me to fix it?
Chop, chop. See, we're a little behind on paying our utility bills, which brings me to rule number 9. Time is money. And the clock is always running fast, so why are we still here? Make it great. And do me a favor? Don't look directly at the flames.
No.
Seriously, Mikey, who taught you fireballs?
You did, sir. A big round of applause for my boss, Mr. Frank Kincaid. And we are
Moving on.
From Disaster Studios. In a world blinded by greed. Endangered species! You get that right trigger on all the endangered species! Ancient elemental force awakens to take her revenge. Mother Nature. What the hell, Maruya, is going on here? One word, Mr. President. Payback. They pushed the Earth too far for too long. Now, one man holds the future of humanity in tell our boy how I died.
No. I'll tell him how you lived.
It ain't nice to mess with Mother Nature. Mother Nature storming a theater near you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th wonder of the world is returning to Universal Orlando Resort. So let our friends at Fairy Godmother Travel take care of the resort reservation. They are a Universal Parks and Resorts specialist, as well as being an authorised Disney vacation planner, and their service is free to you. From the awesome Cabana Bay Hotel to those other hotels run by a mouse, Fairy Godmother Travel can book all your Orlando vacation needs. So, you don't need to miss the chance to see the amazing King Kong in the flesh. And please make sure to let them know that you heard about Fairy Godmother Travel because of UUOP. Because every UUOP referral helps us to continue to bring you the greatest Universal coverage. Contact them today by phone at 832-284-4002 or toll free at 888-939-642539 or go to fairygodmothertravel.com.
Let Fairy Godmother Travel make your next vacation magical.
Welcome back. And before we talk to Stephen about his time working the attraction, it's over to Hunter for a Fact Hunter.
Earthquake the Big One / Disaster is an attraction that a lot of people look back on with fondness. Not only was it one of Universal's opening day attractions, it's one that successfully navigated just over 25 years of life. Despite having a divisive second iteration, this is still considered a classic attraction and one Universal fans and theme park fans will miss dearly. Originally known as Earthquake the Big One, the attraction opened on June 7th of 1990, the opening day for Universal Studios Florida. Located in the San Francisco area of the park, which we did just say goodbye to earlier this year with the closing of Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review. Earthquake took guests behind the scenes, then fitting with the theme of Universal being a working studio, of the making of the film Earthquake, which was narrated by the film star Charlton Heston. On November 5th of 2007, Earthquake closed for good to be updated into Disaster, which would open rather quickly on January 17th of 2008. The old theme of going behind the scenes and taking a look at the making of Earthquake was gone, instead opting for an all-new storyline. Here we met Frank Kincaid, the founder of the Disaster Studios, played by Christopher Walken. This attraction was especially notable for featuring Frank Kincaid being projected using Musion eyeliner technology. This is really what a lot of guests took away from the attraction as being really groundbreaking technology at the time. The ride itself remained almost the same, though, minus additional monitors being added onto the ride vehicle, with a character named Mikey directing guests on how to react to each individual scene. Scenes that the volunteers would film previously would then be inserted into the film Mother Nature, which would then show up at the end of the attraction in the trailer, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. After 7 years of operation, on August of 2015, Universal would announce that Disaster would close for good to make way for Fast and Furious Supercharged, which is set to open in 2017. The very last final ride on Disaster for guests took place on September 7th of 2015. As we spend an extended time talking about the attraction in its disaster state earlier on the podcast, including reading the whole script, we're just going to do a brief room-by-room tour of the original Earthquake. So as you walked through the exterior queue, you would pass by various props that were used in the film Earthquake. Upon reaching the end of the queue, you would just walk straight into the show building and on into the pre-show. The pre-show was divided into 3 separate theaters. The first theater featured wallpaper that contained photographs of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, as well as a window backdrop of a view of the San Francisco skyline. It was here that a casting director would select members from the audience as extras for a reenactment of scenes from the film Earthquake, which would take place later on in the pre-show. The audience would then enter a second theater where they watched a brief film hosted by Charlton Heston, who explained how the special effects shots for the movie were created using scale models. Following the film, the screen would raise up to reveal a large section of the scale model that was used in the movie. In the third theater, the guests who were selected at the beginning of the pre-show participated in reenactments from the film, which included a scene on the escalator in a shopping mall, as well as a high-fall stunt down a collapsed stairwell. Following this sequence, the audience was entered finally into the ride portion of the attraction. Guests would enter a subway station modeled after the West Oakland station, where they would board a Golden Gate Transit subway train. Shortly after arriving at the station, the train was shaken by a minor earth tremor that would soon turn into a violent earthquake, which was rated at 8.3 Richters. The entire station was destroyed as huge fractures formed in the station platforms, and sections of the roof would collapse. A huge gasoline truck would fall through the ceiling and burst into blazing hot flames. Another subway train would crash into the station and derail, and a flash flood of water rushed down the stairs and into the station. The subway train would then back out of the station and return to the West Oakland station, where guests disembarked the train and exited the attraction, and had an option to go to the gift shop. Now, before we end this segment, Earthquake was especially noticeable for having a queue that was home to a lot of classic Halloween Horror Nights mazes. These included, I'm going to rattle them all off, I've got 15 here: Dungeon of Terror, the Crypt Keeper's Dungeon of Terror, the Crypt Keeper's Studio Tour of Terror. There's a lot of terrorizing going on. This was actually followed by Tombs of Terror. Really feeling pretty terrified myself. This was followed by the SS Fritanic, Fear in First Class, Carnage Crew, The Mummy, Doomsday, Universal Classic Monsters Mania, Dark Torment, The Mummy Returns, The Curse Continues, Run Hostile Territory, and finally the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Flesh Wounds. Disaster is an attraction that will not be forgotten in quite some time, not due to it being the best attraction on property, but purely for what the attraction was built for and the purpose it served. It represented the original intention of the park, to be a place for people from all over the world to learn about how films are made, which, minus some attractions like the horror makeup show, Revenge of the Mummy, and E.T., the park has all but forgotten. As the park continues to change into and embrace its new identity, the closing of Disaster is really the end of an era. Here we say goodbye to the original classic Universal Studios and embrace its future.
So, Stephen, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
That was
Good, and I'm glad to be back. Thank you for having me back.
It's with all of us this
Yes.
time.
Anytime.
Yeah.
That was
Yes, it is.
Yes.
awesome, by the way.
That was so much fun.
Oh, thank you very much.
It went perfectly.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us, Stephen, to talk about work and disaster, and also for your amazing acting abilities there.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. I mean, I don't know about amazing, but thank you. No, really, it's that I only worked at that attraction for really just a handful of months because I worked at it toward the end of my time at Universal before I moved out here to Las Vegas. But I don't know. There's just something about Christopher Walken's voice that just kind of sticks with you. And like when you hear it, a dozen or so times a day, then you just kind of start to pick up the little nuances, which I feel that Walken is just all about nuance when it comes to his voice.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I love his voice.
Oh, yeah.
So how long ago is it you worked it then, Stephen?
I worked it pretty much when the attraction opened, which would have been, I think, the fall of 2007, I think. And then I left Universal in May of 2008 and moved out here. So I was there for about 6 months, 7 months, I think. Although I was kind of sharing a lot of my time between Fear Factor and Disaster, and I actually only worked at Disaster a handful of times because like Disaster had their full-time crew and Fear Factor had their full-time crew, but I was home to Fear Factor, so like I was there more. But in the few times I did get to work at Disaster, I found it to be just one of the more fun shows to work as a technician, just because it's constantly going, it's constantly moving. Whereas on the other shows, you do kind of relish your breaks a little bit, because breaks are wonderful, especially when on a show like Fear Factor, you're outdoors. It's really, really hot, especially in the summer. And I mean, even though the theater is covered, like, you still have a lot of that heat, a lot of that disgusting humid air coming in. Disaster was nice and air conditioning. It was wonderful. But still, like, on peak days, like, especially, you know, around like the Christmas season, like even going into spring break a little bit when I was there, I mean, you would have one Lonnie taking all of their guests out of that room, and then by the time those doors close, you have about 10 or 15 seconds before the other doors are going to open and another group's going to come in. And so it's just kind of constantly going. But with that, I mean, as much as one side of it could say that oh my God, it's just nonstop work, on the other side, suddenly you look at your watch and it's time to clock out. It's time to leave. I mean, yeah, it just went by so fast. And certainly depending on which Lonnie you had in there, some of them just had really, really good shows. Like, they really had fun with the audience, and they really had fun with their volunteers.
I think this is one of the things that the theme parks in general are lacking. I know we've lamented it quite a lot on the show, that now Disaster's closed, you've lost another one of those actor-driven attractions, and they're slowly becoming eradicated from the parks. It's
true. Although Disaster was kind of a weird thing, because Earthquake before it was all run by Ride and Show, it was all run by operations. So, you know, when you had that quote unquote actor driven experience, it was actually a Ride and Show attendant that was learning the script, much like Jaws or like Kong before it. But once it became Disaster, it was actually this kind of mishmash, half and half of entertainment and Ride and Show. So the Lonnie was actually a entertainment performer. In fact, a lot of people that played Lonnie, they would also be a tailor over at Poseidon's Fury. They would be a host or an artist over at the horror makeup show. So like, there was a lot of kind of bouncing around. Yeah. And then the team members that are in the yellow shirts, those yellow Disaster shows, those are actually the Ride and Show attendants, or the attractions attendants that are helping out in that scene with all the volunteers, but they're also loading. They're also loading the trains, and then you have the camera technician, which is what I was in that scene with the volunteers, which is tech entertainment. So it's like a bunch of these departments kind of coming together to make this attraction happen. It was really cool.
Yeah, and that's something you definitely would like to see more of in the parks, and unfortunately that's going away. But that kind of cooperation between those groups, it turned into a really, really amazing attraction for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly with like a lot of the entertainment-driven attractions in the park, you do have a little bit of that kind of. I mean, obviously with Terminator 2, you have your entertainment performers, you have your entertainment technicians running the show, and you have your attractions attendants kind of loading the theater in and out. And then with like Beetlejuice, same thing. Fear Factor, same thing. But with Disaster, you actually had the attendants interacting with the performers and like actually kind of being part of the show, rather than just. I don't want to make it sound bad and say that they were theater ushers, but I mean, but you know the difference I'm talking about here, as far as like a stage show like that versus like something like this. And it really is a shame that like it was, in some ways, it was the first of its kind, and now it's kind of the last of its kind.
It is, because there's nothing. So I suppose Poseidon's Fury is probably the last sort of attraction of that ilk, really, now.
Yeah.
Oh, the horror makeup.
Yeah,
show.
That's a show, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not an attraction.
I mean, like, it's still performers like acting and doing improv from the scripts. I mean, I'm trying to think of like all the attractions that are there that actually count as entertainment venues. I would say, I mean, obviously the shows like your Sinbad, your Terminator, your Fear Factor, and then shows like Horror Makeup and Poseidon's Fury. But I do feel like everything's kind of going away to the attraction side, because I mean, think about it, like Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review and Disaster, both entertainment venues that are being torn down to put in a attractions run.
And it's
kind of thing. So
it's a shame, because I think, like you said, the fact that you've got different actors on there gave you a different experience. But it's like you might get one who's having an off day and isn't on the game, but then you might go through it again the next day and get one who's absolutely on their A game and absolutely brilliant. Absolutely. I mean, I found it very much, because I sat and transcribed the show for that intro. and probably watched 2 or 3 different videos plus the audio that Darren got us from the last ride that he went on. And the difference between those 4 shows, even though it's obviously a single script, was actually quite astonishing at how different it was.
I know that when I worked it at the very beginning, a lot of the actors were pretty much kind of honed to the one script. And like that's why when I was preparing for this and kind of rewatching the show, I'd noticed like a lot of little ad libs and such that were definitely not there before. And I mean, really, I could say the same thing about like even the brief time that I worked over at the horror makeup show. Like when I was there, kind of at the beginning, the actors were kind of, it was one of those stick to the script. You can deviate a little bit, but like stick to the script. Whereas like if you look at it now, I mean, really depending on who your host and who your artist is, you're going to have a completely different show that is kind of driven by the improv. And I think that that's why, in the case of horror makeup, I think that that's why the show is as popular as it is because it does have that strong improv element. It also helps that you have a lot of really strong improv comedic actors working on that show.
Yeah. But I mean, you take take Jaws into consideration, the people we've spoken to, and you worked it as well, didn't you? That they were, that script was set in stone. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've said this before that, I mean, even though I think that every single one of us that worked at Jaws is guilty of going off script from time to time. When you got caught, it was bad. I mean, one time I got caught kind of deviating from the script going into unload, and my supervisor took me off boat for a week.
Ooh. I remember you saying when you were on before, Which is weird that some of the other ones are quite happy for you to do it, yet Jaws was,
I think I mean, this will sound strange, but I think the reason why entertainment's allowed to do it and that attractions is not is that entertainment are professional actors. Right. And like, even though a lot of us that are into I mean, obviously we had to audition to like be able to do that role, and then and then obviously we had to give a performance, but still there's a whole thing of you're not actors, you are attractions attendants that are reciting a spiel. That's why, like, even like if you worked on an attraction like that, you were labeled as a spieler. You were following a script.
Right.
And to that, I see their point, but at the same time, like, none of us were going to do anything that would get us fired.
No.
Most of us would.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
I wouldn't do anything to get me fired.
No. I'm sure most people have probably cherished to those type of jobs to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Especially when you look back on it now, I like to say that there's not many of them there. People, we need to give Poseidon's Fury some real love, because I do not want that to go anywhere. And we didn't even get to do it last time we were there.
No.
I got to say, though, I actually really miss the old Poseidon's Fury, the one from 1999, the one with Jeremy Irons in it. I know that in like 2001, like they changed it to the thing that it is now, the whole like Lord Darkanon thing, like making Poseidon a good guy. But like there was something about like the older keeper character, and then him becoming Zeus, and then you had the CGI serpent that was Poseidon that was voiced by Jeremy Irons. There was something about that attraction that was just really kind of just kind of magical, and like wondering, oh, what comes next? And also the whole room drop gag at the very end, like in the original version, they saved that for the very end rather than in the way it is now, where you walk into a room and then it disappears and then you come back into it. That first time when you went through and like you didn't know that room drop was going to happen, the moment it happened, everyone's mind was just completely blown. And I've even heard that maybe that was one of the reasons that they changed it, is because people didn't get it. People were just kind of confused as to what just happened.
Which I think it's awesome.
But as far as like, yeah, absolutely. And like, I think for me, like the most heartbreaking, and actually even for like a lot of your listeners and like a lot of the Universal fans out there, it's a shame that there really isn't video documentation of that old version of the attraction. Like I think I found like one YouTube clip that is really not even the best. Like it's kind of like it takes the 20-minute attraction and it like condenses it down to 5 minutes. So you see like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, but it is just so hard to find the whole thing anywhere. It's a shame.
Well, I'll be honest with what you've just said there, Steve. I didn't know half of that. Because I only know it in its current. I mean, I knew about the room drop, but I know they changed it, but I didn't know how. Mm-hmm. So I think we've got another themed show coming up, Stephen. I think we're going to have you on again at some point.
Well, and actually, this is actually kind of a good segue here. The change from that version of Poseidon to the new version of Poseidon, the one it is now, where it's the Taylor show. I remember hearing that, Poseidon was going to be going down for an extended period of time. They're going to be changing a couple things, but there was not really any clue as to how much they were going to be changing. And then with Disaster, it was the same thing. I mean, I was working over at Fear Factor at the time. We were only a couple doors down from Earthquake. And we had heard actually from some of the ride and show attendants that were on our show, because some of them were also cross-trained over at Earthquake, saying, Earthquake's going to be closed for a few months. They're going to be renovating it. And so really that's all we thought it was that it was going to be this kind of extended renovation that was going to make some of the gags a little better. Maybe they would have touched up the spiel a little bit. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it was still going to be Earthquake. And then suddenly we get closer to it. And then I remember hearing one of the ride and show attendants saying, so Earthquake's going to be very different when it comes back up. Like, really? What are you talking about? They say, well, first of all, it may or may not be called Earthquake. They were being very, very coy with their answers. They were like trying to tease us, which is just, like kind of eye roll worthy, but, whatever. But especially because, like, the last time I was on this show, like I said that during my time at Universal, I felt as though team members found out secrets before anything was ever announced. And Disaster is really one of the first times that it showed up out of nowhere.
Right.
Just because it was, just supposed to be this renovation. And then here it's like, okay, well, apparently it's going to be something different. And then suddenly you walk by and the Earthquake sign is gone and they're putting up this Disaster sign. You're like, what the hell is this? And then... then they did like the first like technical preview, and like I remember hearing things that like I may have heard the name Christopher Walken muttered, by someone, but I'm like, Christopher Walken, shut up, he's not going to do a theme park ride. Mm-hmm. And then you come into that lobby and like you see it's like, okay, I mean, like it's still kind of the Earthquake, but it's got this big old Disaster logo, but like they're still doing the same kind of thing. They're pulling up the volunteers on stage. Then you go into the next room, which is the whole the Musion effect, and then the Christopher Walken thing happens. You're like, whoa, this is something really, really neat, really cool. And real quick about that, a lot of people refer to it as a hologram, because they kind of did the same thing with like Tupac, like those many years ago at Coachella. It was like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like it's that same kind of Musion effect, but it's not a hologram. Like really all it is just kind of a updated version of the Pepper's Ghost effect that you find at like Haunted Mansion or like even at the old Ghostbusters show. Mm-hmm. And then like before the recording, we were talking about the Black Book, Frank Gates' old Black Book, and about how it's actually red. Yeah. The reason for that is because of the Musion effect. If it were black, it would be invisible.
That's a good factoid.
So like when like Frank and Kate actually like stands behind that little desk, all that's really happening is that they're putting like kind of a black box in front of them on the actual video, and then like anything that's black you just see through, because the whole point of it is that stage is lit so dark, but the video, like the actual projected video of the Musion effect, is so bright that normally with a Pepper's Ghost effect, the reason why it appears as a ghost, like in Haunted Mansion, the reason why it appears as a ghost is because the scenery behind the Pepper's Ghost effect is actually lit fairly well. Whereas in Disaster, it's very dark on stage, but Christopher Walken is very bright. If he were any dimmer, or if the set were lit any brighter, he would appear as a ghost. You would see right through him.
Right.
And by taking the book and having it be perhaps a darker shade of red rather than black, you can't see through it as easily.
Mm.
So there
it's
you
important
go.
to note too, if I recall correctly, Disaster opened about 2.5 years prior to Forbidden Journey, so this was the first experience we had with that Musion technology.
Yeah, that's true.
And now it's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I would also argue that Disaster was the best implementation of it.
I will
Dumbledore
agree.
and the trio have never looked quite right.
Yeah. I was watching one of the videos of it, like to say again, to get the script, and it is very bright, whereas I know the complaints about Dumbledore and the trio in Forbidden Journey are they're quite dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but as far as that Musion effect, I mean, like, have you actually seen as far as like how it works? Like, I mean, even if looking at some of the old Disaster videos, you can kind of see how it works. There is this. It's essentially a stretched piece of plastic, like a piece of clear plastic that is stretched out and tilted at a 45-degree angle, kind of tipping. Like the top is tipping toward the audience.
Okay.
And then in front of the front row, you have a pit. And what's happening is that at the bottom of that pit, there is a projection screen. And then above the actual Musion foil, which is the reflective surface, there's a projector that is pointing straight down to the screen. And then the foil is kind of picking up the reflection of the screen. So if you think about it like a clock face, if the person standing on stage is at 12 o'clock and the screen is at 3 o'clock, like it's laying down at 3 o'clock, then the reflection foil is at 1:30, and therefore what's at 3 o'clock appears at 12 o'clock. I don't know if that's the most easiest way to describe it. I mean, like, it makes sense to me, but that with that projection laying down, because it's reflecting on something that's at a 45-degree angle, it appears as though it is right side up.
All right.
Okay, I'd say Hunter's just shared a picture in the Skype group. Trace can't see because she's on it, but I'll see how it works. It's cool. Very clever.
Yeah. It's actually really simple. I mean, like, deep down when you get to it, and I remember that, like, I saw the attraction before I got trained on it. Like, I got trained maybe like a week or two after the grand opening. But that I remember going through like the technical rehearsals and the soft open, kind of taking a look at it. And really, the first time I saw it, I thought it was glass, but it's actually plastic. And then later on, when I was working on something where I kind of had to create my own rig of that design, I found that the reason why you use plastic, or at least the reason why I use it, is because A, it's lighter, and B, it's not very thick. Because when you have something that, I mean, obviously, like, if you were to use glass for that, you would need a very, very large pane of glass. And then with that, the larger the piece, the thicker it would have to be to kind of support itself. Mm-hmm. And with that kind of effect, you would get almost this ghosting effect because it's reflecting on the front, but also the back of the glass.
Yeah.
Whereas with plastic, like, it's not quite paper thin, but it's still fairly thin, to where you're not going to get that ghosting effect. Or, like, even if you are going to get that ghosting effect, you're not going to see it from even the front row.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It is cool, like the way it interacts as well. It's not just they got, like, when it tosses the piece of paper and catch it in there.
Yeah.
It's
those are the really cool things about that make it stand out from Forbidden Journey for sure.
Yeah,
that was actually the one effect that, like, the first time I saw it, especially, that, like, I was really blown away by, was that, like, he actually pulls the headshot off of that bulletin board.
Yes, I was looking at that yesterday.
It's awesome.
I know.
It's such a shame. Like, it's one of those attractions that you'll maybe go on once every time you go. I mean, I think, did we ever do? I think we did Earthquake once.
Yeah, we only ever did Earthquake
I remember very little about it. I think we've maybe done Disaster, 3 times, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I remember toward the end of my time working at Jaws, I was actually trying to get out of Jaws. Really, because, like, I was kind of, like, I wanted to do something different, but also I was sick of being in the sun. I mean, really, I think, like, the slight Irish heritage in me just doesn't tan well. So, like, I'm just not really good at like, being outside. So I wanted to do something inside. And, like, I'd wanted to do Kong, but then I thought, well, actually, like, I think I'd like to do Earthquake because it's kind of cool. It's kind of chill. It's laid back. And I was actually talking with the supervisor, and, like, we were even working it out to where, like, I was going to go over there. And, like, we were even kind of starting to pull up paperwork. And then all of a sudden it didn't happen. And for what reason, I'm not entirely sure. But so then to have Disaster be effectively the last, actually not effectively, like, it was the last attraction that I was trained on over at Universal. It was kind of that, well, I didn't get to go to Earthquake, but I got to go to Disaster.
Yeah.
At the very end. So, like, that was kind of cool. Going back to the Musion thing, I remember a couple times, there's that thing in which, Frank Kincaid, like, he takes the headshot, crumbles it up, and then kind of tosses the paper. And I mean, like, if you notice, like, he puts his hand behind the bulletin board, and, like, the reason for that is so like, the thing that's behind the bulletin board that actually launches the paper ball, which is just a little kind of, like, little cheap, like, metal catapult, essentially. So that, like, that can make it, okay, cool, he's the one that tossed it. But there were some times that, okay, so it tosses the paper ball. Lonnie is supposed to catch it in, I think, like, a garbage can or something.
Yeah.
But sometimes it would bounce out of the garbage can and actually hit the foil, actually hit the reflective surface. Yeah, so, like, it would, like, bounce out of the trash can, go forward, and then bounce back. And I mean, like, if you were paying attention to it, you'd be like, what the hell's going on there? And then, like, sometimes it would actually cause the foil to actually kind of wobble a little bit. It was kind of funny.
Now, what did the Lonnie actors see on their side? Did they have any kind of visual cue of where Frank was at the time, or?
They didn't really. They just knew as far as where their spikes were supposed to be, like, on the stage. As far as, like, okay, I need to stand here. I need to crawl from here to here. Yeah, because You notice that, like at the very beginning, like when the fireball thing happens, like you'll see Lonnie actually kind of crawl down below the bulletin board. The reason for that is two things. Number one, there's actually a button down there that like that's where they start the show.
Right.
So that once the audience is in, like they actually trigger that button, and then that's what causes the projection effect to begin. But also, if they were to stand up and walk through that, their head would walk right through the headshots that are hanging there. Projection.
Right.
Well, I'm even more impressed with the actors there now.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Yep.
So what was your actual role then when you were there, Stephen?
My actual role, I was the camera operator that's in, I think it's room 3. I mean, I don't know if it was room 3 or room 2. Like, no, it was like there's pre-show, and then maybe it was room 2. It was like pre-show room 1, which is the Frank Kincaid scene, and then I think room 2, which is the room with all the volunteers doing stuff, and then there's the actual ride portion. Ride portion we had nothing to do with. That was all attraction side of it. However, the first chunk of that ride, the pre-show, room 1, room 2, that was all run by entertainment.
So you did Shot in the Balls take 1.
Yeah. Well, what I was okay. So like, you'll see the attendants in the yellow shirts, kind of working with the volunteers. But you'll see one guy wearing all black with a shirt that says "Crew" on the back of it. Looks a lot like one of the Fear Factor shirts, except the lettering's white rather than yellow. And they are carrying around a camera, which back when I worked there, it was a camera attached to a glide cam, which is like it's kind of like a really simple steady cam. That's pretty much a camera attached to a long rod, which is attached to a base that has counterweights on it, so that it makes the whole thing very fluid and very, very balanced. And then there's a large wireless transmitter out the top of it. It was the exact same rig that we used over at Fear Factor. They pretty much looked at Fear Factor and said, okay, whatever we used on that, let's just get that over at Disaster. If you look at the videos now, though, like the one that I saw, they replaced the glide cam with something that's actually more like a extendable tripod, or rather a monopod, which actually, looking at like how he's doing it in that video, I'm like, wow, that would have been so much easier than using that stupid glide cam. I hated that thing. But then myself, along with Lonnie, were also triggering like what records what clips. So like when you actually see Lonnie kind of walking around, like even in some of the videos, you can see him kind of crouching near, like there's usually like a pair of buttons. There's a yellow glowing button and a green glowing button. And the way that I remember it is that the yellow button, when you press that kind of preps everything. So like you hear that bell ring. So it's pretty much like you press the yellow button, it means that you're primed to record, but it also causes the bell sound effect to go. And then the green button starts flashing. You press the green button, that actually starts recording. And pretty much like each sequence knows that it's only supposed to record like X number of seconds of footage. And then once the button starts flashing green again, that means that it's actually done recording.
Right.
But that by pressing the button again, that causes that bell sound effect to go again, and then you are moving on. And then, with that, like it was all very orchestrated. Like you had to be in this spot first, this spot, and as I recall, there were scenarios in which you could bypass a few things. I don't remember exactly how. I mean, once again, like this is like 8 years ago for me now. But sometimes it would be Lonnie triggering those. Sometimes it would be myself triggering those. When you have like the three kind of scientists with the hard hats or whatever, like they're looking evil, and like the rocks fall on their head. Yeah. The camera operator actually like climbs up that little catwalk staircase there, and there's a button up there that actually triggers a record. But there's also a foot pedal that triggers the rocks falling on them.
Oh.
Yeah. But I know that they changed the wireless transmitter on that camera later on, because I remember, especially for like a lot of my wireless shots, which I know my wireless shots mainly consisted of the girl in the audience that screams, where they like put up like the white background behind her, and then like she screams like at the very beginning of the trailer. The guys with the hard hats, and then also the audience waving their face, the ooh, that smell. Like, as I recall, those were the shots that I really had to take care of.
Right.
Otherwise, there were several kind of stationary cameras mounted around to get, like the kid look at the rock, and then the granny hoeing in the garden and so forth. But then after all those clips are kind of taken, Frank Kincaid shows up on the screen above. And during that time, and if you watch the video, you can see this happen. You'll see the camera technician actually walk toward what appears to be like a little kind of Sony monitor that's kind of like on its side, right next to one of the cameras that's there. And on top of that monitor is actually a little touchscreen, in which you have listed or labeled every single clip that you've recorded. And if for some reason the clip didn't turn out right, or like you had like some kind of technical issue, or the audience member was just like not really getting into it, like you could actually go through and say, okay, well, I'll take this one, I won't take this one, and then pretty much once you're done selecting all of them, which I mean, for me, for the most part, I'm pretty sure that I just always selected all of them, because like they were never so bad that you needed to take them out. And you'd like then press a button, which essentially sends it to a video server that then compiles it into the Mother Nature trailer and then plays it on the tram as they're coming back.
That is cool. And that has to happen really quickly, because it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of time in between that, like you said, that Frank Kincaid video and the actual load at that. Well, I guess, I mean, you got most of the ride actually to go through it too, but
at the same time, there's not really a lot of stuff that you need to go through in order to like get that out of there. It's like, I think that there were maybe like 3 pages like you had to scroll through, and like I think each page had like four clips. Like you just kind of knew which ones were which. Like you knew that like I think the kid doing the Spider-Man pose was number 1. Kid look at the rock, and then there was the guy doing the whole waving arms on the green screen. Then there was the guy in the pit of the balls, and then you had the granny, and like then you had and just like you just always knew which clip is which clip went in which order. Like you're just kind of keeping like a mental tally. It's like, okay, well, let's not use that clip, but let's use these. And then I mean, like really, you could go through that whole thing in like 5 seconds. It was really quick.
Right.
Wow.
Impressive.
Yeah. So if the person didn't work out, like you said, was there like did you just have like an old stock one to use?
There was a stock clip in there, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty much, like I think the Mother Nature trailer actually kind of had like a full stock trailer underneath it, and then it was just one of those the clips that you shot kind of overwrote what was there.
Yeah.
Or kind of like overlaid on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw one that went bad, and I went quite a few times, during earthquake and during disaster, and never saw one that they actually had to replace somebody in. But
I think that system was kind of in there as a just in case, because I mean, obviously, if something bad did happen and like there was no way to fix it, then what are you gonna do? Like, especially if like someone was like, hey, I'm gonna flick off the camera or something like that. I mean, obviously, you can't put that. But
or a technical issue too.
Exactly. But certainly in my time, I don't recall there ever being an issue where I had to really change the lineup of the clips or anything. It was all pretty standard. Like it was actually like a really cool kind of constructed attraction. Unlike that aspect, the fact that like you have these two people that are going back and forth pressing buttons in these specific order, and then by them doing their job, you have that cool trailer at the very end.
Yep.
Awesome.
That is cool.
Very much so. Right then. After that, we're going to now share some thoughts and memories of the attraction from our listeners. This one's from Todd Elsroth. Strangely, I have no memories of this attraction. I think I was chosen to act in it once. But we always walked by it and never really thought it was that great.
Cheers for that, Todd.
Yeah, right back at you, buddy.
All right, this one's from John Pace. Only decided to see it because there wasn't a line, but I'm glad we did it before it left us. Enjoyed everything, though it dragged some until you got in the tram, and then it was great. The trailer featuring the guests chosen was funny, but it would be a one-time attraction for me. Ouch.
Yeah. Come on, someone give us some nice comments.
Yeah.
All right. Really. Hell yeah. Brittany Dwinnell said, I always love seeing the large props in the queue, but sadly didn't get to see them up close that often because the line wasn't usually long enough. Jeez, okay. We did it, guys. I really enjoyed seeing the miniature set when I was younger. I actually quite liked the Earthquake pre-show, and later on was blown away by the technology of the disaster pre-show with Christopher Walken. The filming bit would get some laughs, but it wasn't my favorite. Love the tram tour, though. That might just be my love of practical effects talking. Overall, it wasn't a favorite of mine, and I understood why it was time for it to go, but it was a fun ride, and if you like practical effects, it was a great attraction to see.
Absolutely.
Well, that's probably the best review we've had,
Yes.
I guess. I don't know.
So far.
Okay, this one's from Sean Hill. Well, for me, Earthquake was always an attraction that my dad and I would do together. My mom and sister both hated it for different reasons, but I always thought it was one of the best uses of practical effects on a ride ever. The original version of Earthquake, in my opinion, was far superior because it really put you in the moment. However, I will admit that Disaster was more entertaining to the general public. I actually wouldn't have minded it so much if Mikey wasn't yelling the whole ride, telling me to scream and wave my hands. When I told my dad it was closing, he wasn't too happy, but what can you do? So on its last day of operation, just my dad and I went down to the park and rode the last train to leave the station. A sad moment indeed, but I guess it's for the greater good. At least I hope.
Yeah, we'll see. That remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have something to kind of add about that. So like when he talks about how like Disaster was more entertaining to the general public, the thing that I love personally both about Earthquake and also Disaster, but the Disaster especially, is that it brought back kind of what the park was really about when it first opened, which was about making the movies, and the fact like you actually got to go through kind of a simplified movie making experience. That was really cool. But with the whole thing that he says about Mikey yelling, to scream and to wave the hands, the reason for that is because those cameras that are on board the tram, if he wasn't telling you to do that, there's a strong chance that like the people would just be sitting there going,
yeah.
Now, to be fair, that's what people were doing about 90% of the time anyway. But like, if you ever got a shot in which like you saw someone in the trailer that was actually kind of like waving their hands and like kind of acting goofy, that's because Mikey was yelling at him to do. And like also, I feel that by telling people to really get into the attraction and like by having people around you screaming and like having a good time, like it actually makes the attraction a little more fun.
Yeah.
In that instance, yeah.
I'll agree with that.
We always hammed it up, didn't we?
Oh, God, yeah. Kerry Williams says, back in 2010, my 81-year-old nan volunteered herself for the acting part of the old lady struck by lightning. Don't think she knew what she was letting herself in for, but was a great memory. She still talks about it. That's cool.
Fantastic.
Okay. From Keith Erickson. I remember going on Earthquake as a kid years ago. I had no idea what was coming, and when the truck came out of the roof, I was terrified and amazed. I got to go on it one last time before it closed, and it was still a lot of fun, even though the truck didn't come out of the roof. I'll miss the physical effect that Disaster offered, but I'm sure Universal will make a great new attraction to replace it.
Well, again, judgment's out.
Time will tell.
Brandon DeWitt says, I'm okay with them taking out Disaster, but it's a bit too late for a Fast and Furious ride. They should have built one 10 years ago. They should have chosen a new property to replace it.
Yeah. Matt Clark. I was personally disappointed when I heard that Disaster was going to be replaced by Fast and Furious. What really stood out about this attraction from others was that it featured the movie-making process that was prominent before the 1999 expansion. Here, audience members were able to participate in the creation of a film trailer and what it felt like to be a movie star. We even got to meet the man, the myth, the legend that is Frank Kincaid, played by Christopher Walken.
I haven't got to unplug my phone, so I haven't got the sound effect.
Also, he had a team member leading the show. I miss the good old days of Captain Jake's Amity boat tours. Me too. The subway that met Banana Breath. Never did that.
No.
And any attraction where a team member can make your trip a little more special.
Mm-hmm.
On my 2012 trip, I went to Disaster twice in my first journey, ending abruptly. The subway train broke down and I had to leave the attraction after my group filmed with the audience volunteers, but the team member leading us was hilarious. He was as clever and witty as any team member was going to get, especially with the $1 joke at the beginning. No idea.
Nope.
I don't either, actually. Must have been one of the improv things.
Maybe. He stood out because the team member I had in my second experience was not as funny.
Oh.
I am sad to see it go, and I am not so enthused about Fast and Furious, probably because I saw the bad films and have no interest in seeing the last three or the next three. Even though I'll give a try, most likely in 2 years or so. I will always remember Disaster for being the studio within a studio and an attraction with team member interaction. Thank you guys for letting me share my thoughts.
Real quickly, talking about Fast and Furious there, like I feel that he says he didn't see the last three. I feel like the last three was actually where the series kind of started to get good, but that's just my personal opinion. Okay. This one's from Susie Scott. Okay, this one's a long one. Hold on.
Yeah.
I never went on or through it.
Awesome.
All right. Cool. Yeah.
I'll say this one. Yeah, Stuart Mallet. We always enjoyed it. It was never picked. We always enjoyed it. Was never picked for the embarrassment role, but overall, it was a fun time-out attraction due to its pace, and I think it will be missed for that.
Travis Terrell says, my favorite memory of Disaster would have to be being there on the last day of the attraction and actually being the final tram ever. Also, it was amazing to get to do it with some of the UUOP family. Of course, Darren and Nina. It was definitely a surreal feeling pulling into the station the final time and realizing this will be the last time anybody will ever ride this attraction. I agree. It was a tearjerker. I'm seriously seeing like everybody that had worked on the attraction, even people that had moved on to other things, were there to see the last train go, and it was awesome. It says, lastly, I love the sight of seeing what seemed to be anybody to ever work on the ride, waiting and clapping and cheering as our final tram rolled in. Very, very grateful to have been able to experience that, and with great friends.
And that last show, the girl who played Lonnie was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was episode 161. If you go back and listen to that, the whole audio of Darren's last ride's on there, and that was the script that I used mostly for this. I'm just going to double check.
I have to say, it's the best audience ever, too.
Yeah. 161.
Not just because I was there.
Yeah.
All right. This one's from Thomas J. Wagner. Throughout its two versions, the main highlight for me was nothing that I experienced firsthand, but it is knowing that Darren, Nina, and Travis, 3 of our UUOP family, were on that final take. I was so happy for all of them, and I know that will be a universal moment that they will cherish for a lifetime. Smile emoticon.
I still find it hilarious that if you copy that, it puts that as an actual sentence. It's ridiculous.
I just thought that was a nice touch. It was a nice touch at the end there. Like, yes, smile emoticon.
Yeah. Thomas is one of our biggest fans, and Thomas has been going for a very long time.
He's
he actually probably one of your biggest fans because Jaws was his favorite ride of all time.
Oh yeah, oh cool.
Yes, I don't think there's a bigger Jaws fan on the face of the planet.
No,
Definitely not.
No.
We'll just leave it as Thomas Wagner has a storage container.
Yes.
Completely full of Jaws stuff that doesn't fit in his house.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Which there's also more in there too.
Right, I'll grab the last two off our Facebook page. That David Wilson says, I remember Earthquake much more than I remember Disaster, as I lived in Orlando then. What I really loved is that it got me interested in the original movie and how they used to make special effects before CGI. I loved seeing the scale model of the city, and the screen always made a high-pitched noise when it went up to reveal the model. That's a random thing to remember, I know. As far as the actual ride, everything always worked for me when it was Earthquake. The floor drop, the tanker exploding, the other subway car, and part of the Earthquake was really moving depending on where you sat. It jerked up and down so quick you had to hold on or you would fall into the people next to you, and I loved the lights on the wall moving to make it feel like you were going faster. My last memory is the sound of the doors closing, especially when the team member had a rhythm going.
Mm-hmm. That actually reminds me of something involving the one time that I worked over at Earthquake when I was rescuing there. This was back in my time at Jaws, so
right.
Rescuing like if I was ever working over at Jaws, like they said, hey, we got too many people, but this attraction needs someone, they would take someone from our crew and send them over there. And Earthquake needed someone, and at Earthquake, because rescues cannot do the spiel, instead they had me pretty much in the one room where I'm allowed to do anything, which is the load and unload of the actual tram. And yeah, like with the whole kind of closing all those doors, just like all the way down. I thought that, hey, they show me how to do it, I can do it too. So I go just like all the way down, and then I slam a door, and the little cylindrical latch that's on the side of the door snapped clean off.
Oh. And so you have a history of breaking stuff at Universal, don't you, Stephen?
It was just those few isolated incidents over 9 years. Come on, It makes me sound really
introduced
bad.
a lot of new safety features. Yeah, you didn't break anything. You introduced safety features and measures that they didn't have before.
You know what?
A lot of people haven't died because of you.
I guess that's something to be proud of. Yeah.
And our last comment comes from Miss Nina Thompson. She says, the falling tanker truck was the most terrifying thing ever when I was a young kid. I will miss this ride stroke experience. It was awesome that I was part of the last audience cast ever, chosen as a scientist. Yes, evil Nina. She said, yes, and I will sign autographs. Winky face.
Oh.
Type
Wait, that was a
Emoticon.
emoticon?
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, just real quick, I just wanted to say, I saw this attraction through the first time I went in '93, being Earthquake, to eventually Disaster at the end. In the Earthquake one, I was selected as a volunteer the first time they got you all strapped up like you were going to do a actual like stunt jump, and they said they were going to fall through like 4 stories to the ground. Mm-hmm. And it was so great doing it as a kid, because basically they just had you stand around in the back and wave your arms like you weren't ready. So the person would be like, "Okay, are you ready to jump?" And you're sitting back there like, "No." And then they dropped a dummy from the 4th floor to the ground. And while they were doing that, they were changing your clothes out to like a ripped up version of it, and then you kind of got to stumble back out onto the stage. And the tanker truck are the things that I remember most from my first trip to Universal. I mean, that shows you how iconic that was, and especially at the time, that I had never seen any kind of an experience anywhere near that, where you had this giant tanker truck coming down and smashing into the side, and the flood coming down the stairs and everything like that. I can picture it, exactly in my head. And it's been how long since it closed,
Yeah.
So, and like everybody else said, being there for the very last run of it was amazing. And it's definitely the end of an era when that closed, that particular kind of attraction. That unfortunately I don't think we're going to see again. I hope we do, if they could, and we'll see how just physical, some of the effects on Kong are.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to. But
yeah. Now, have you been on the Earthquake over at on the studio tour at Universal Hollywood?
Nope.
No, none
Okay.
of us have been over there.
Oh, okay. Pretty much this. Well, I mean, rather than the whole, like several rooms, like I feel like Earthquake and Disaster when it was here, it kind of combined the old special effects stages show that was over at Universal Hollywood, and then mix that with its own kind of Earthquake experience. I think Earthquake in Hollywood was actually added after Universal Florida opened. And it's pretty much the same thing. Like you're in, the San Francisco Embarcadero train station, but like the one thing that's really different about the Hollywood version that I actually kind of liked better than the Florida version is when the other train shows up. In Florida, it kind of does like this kind of like it kind of corkscrews upward in a way, whereas in California, the train's coming and it actually kind of splits in half and like T-bones toward the tram.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds much better.
Yeah.
It is. It's really cool.
Cool.
Actually, I think back when they were doing like a lot of the Universal Studios Florida commercials and like they showed clips of Earthquake, they actually showed the tram T-boning from the Hollywood version.
Yeah,
just because
they did that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Stephen. Now you have your own wonderful show. Would you like?
That's what I hear.
Yes. Would you like to share some details with us about it?
Absolutely. The show is called Extended Queue. We are coming up on our first year of doing the show. Thank you very much. We just released an episode a couple weeks ago about talking about the creation of the old Norway boat ride Maelstrom over at Epcot, and we had one of the original Imagineers that actually wrote the attraction, Mark Rhodes, come on to talk about it. And our next episode coming up, it is our season finale. It'll be on March 25th. And then we're going to take a couple months off, and then we'll be back in May with season 2. But this episode that's coming up should be fun for any Batman and Superman fans.
Oh, Thomas, are you listening?
Yeah.
Thomas is a huge Superman fan as well.
Oh, good.
Yes.
On our show, we do these things that are called ride battles, and this one is called an ultimate ride battle, in which we're kind of doing March Madness style, where we're taking 4 Superman coasters and 4 Batman coasters, and whittling it down to determine one ultimate Superman coaster, one ultimate Batman coaster, and then putting the 2 head to head to see which one wins.
Awesome.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, follow us at extendedq.com. That's our website. You can also download us on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, Android, other podcasting apps. And definitely hit us up on Twitter at extendedq or on Facebook, facebook.com/extendedq.
Yep.
That's the best place to find us.
Definitely.
We do new episodes every other Friday.
Awesome. It is awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And this probably won't be the last time we have you on, Stephen.
I hope not.
I will certainly come back as long as there's no, like weird, like legal order that comes down that says Stephen no more.
Yeah. But we still need to get your good lady on as well.
Yes, yeah. We're gonna make it happen. She will be on the show.
Well, we had it all scheduled, and then she got dragged into work, so it didn't happen.
Schedules are weird, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Brilliant. Right, so that will wrap it up for one very exciting show. I, for one, enjoyed my little foray into acting again, even though I was very, very nervous beforehand.
It was awesome, actually. I'm looking
It
forward
was a
to
lot of
going
fun.
back and listening to it again.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of scared to listen to it.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Well, you know, you won't listen to it.
True. Anyway, so for Stephen, Hunter, Darren, Lee, and myself, today I've been Lonnie. And thank you for listening to episode 188 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
That's it for another unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on iTunes, and while you're there, please leave us a rating and a review. Listen to us on Stitcher, Google Play, and all your podcast apps. Email us with any questions or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com, or even better, record your message at speakpipe.com/uuopodcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Check out our blog for even more content at uuopodcast.com. And finally, our sponsors, Fairy Godmother Travel, are here to help with all your Universal vacation needs. So check them out today at fairygodmothertravel.com. Well, that's a wrap. See you next week.